Record. Here we go. Good afternoon. Welcome. So happy and delighted to have you here. My name is Emily Reed Daniels. I am the author and creator of The Regulated Classroom. And Kelly is with us too. Kelly, if you want to shake your hand, hi. Kelly Hurd is one of our expert training consultants and implementation coaches. And I'm not sure if we'll have a couple of the others join us yet or not. But what I would love to do is just start with a little connector practice, start with a little bit of silliness. This is going to be a tiny bit of play just for a moment. So if you can follow along with me, that would be wonderful. And so if you haven't yet turned on your camera, I would actually ask you to do that now, especially just as we do the connector practice so that we can see each other a little bit. Here we go. Simon says, put your hand on your head. Simon says, put your hands on your nose. Simon says, put your hands on your cheeks. Simon says, put your hand on your chin. Simon says, put your hand on your shoulders. Put your hand on your chest. Ooh, good. Put your hand on your heads. Ooh, good. Simon says, put your hand on your shoulder, put your hand on your nose. Nice. Let's try this again. Simon says, put your hands on your head. Simon says, put your hands on your shoulder. Simon says, put your hands on your chest. Put your hands on your nose. Put your hands on your head. Nice job. Okay, with me for just a second. Let's just get a little bit of energy into your body with a little bit of rapid shaking. And I just want to invite you to just kind of notice and come into the moment to see if you can take inventory of being present with me. I know for some of you, it's the end of a long day. It's the end of a Tuesday, which feels better than Monday, but still is just Tuesday. So I want you to just take inventory of where you're at in your nervous system state and if you're present with me. I'm going to go ahead and share my slide deck just so we can keep rolling because time just always flies, I feel like. I don't know if other people feel that way too, but I feel like the time always flies. Are you all seeing? Hold on, let me just make sure. Hold on one second. Share, share, share. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my slide deck. Awesome. Love when that happens. It's not exactly the way I want it to be. Oh, wait, maybe here we go. Here we go. Okay. I wanted to actually add this in because I see webinars as an opportunity for us to stay in contact with you all. And so I wanted to just give you a couple updates that I think are really exciting and worth sharing. So first things first, I get to go do an ultimate nerd out at the end of next week. I fly to England and I'll be going to Oxford for 4 days, 5 days. And I will be deeply immersed in the Transform Trauma Oxford Conference, which has all the big names from across the world coming to share. So you have people like Bessel van der Kolk, and you have people like Dr. Ed Tronick and Dan Siegel and Ruth Ann Linus, and just like all the big names in trauma and the heavy duty researchers. In fact, Gabor Mate was supposed to be there. Not that he's a researcher, but he will actually not be there. But a lot of other really people whose work influences my work will be there presenting, Esther Perel, people like that. So I will be excited to bring back some of the pieces and gems of science that I always keep infusing in the framework and talking to you all about from that learning. So I look forward to the next webinar sharing a little bit of what I've learned. Right now we are exploring, this is very exciting. In fact, I'd like a drum roll for this, please. How do you do a drum roll? It's a form of a radical acceptance. So I'd love for you to take your hands, get them down on your thighs. If you want, I'd love for you to give me a little Clark Griswold with the roll of the tongue. So this is heart math. Give me a thumbs up if you are familiar with heart math. I'm going to just kind of scroll down. Thank you. Heart math is pretty amazing, actually. And I have to give shout out to Dawn down in Phoenix, Arizona, who helped to connect heart math with the regulated classroom. But they are essentially a biofeedback tool that they have been studying for 30 years that helps their users bring their heart and their nervous system into more coherence. And it's usually done through breathing, guided breathing in the biofeedback tool. However, we are very interested. We have a lot of alignment in our science. We have a lot of alignment in our interest of bringing more regulation to the classroom. And this is a product we're going to probably talk about exploring for the use for teacher use, for teachers to be actually using heart math in or before or after instruction in order to help bring their heart back into greater coherence, just to help with stress management. And so again, if that like tickles your fancy in any way, or if you have ideas around that, I would love to hear about it. This is a very new thing that we are exploring together, and we're very excited about it. But I'd also love to hear from you all how you think you might use that, or how you think that might benefit potentially you and our students. Chrissy DiAgostino, who's not on this call right now, we reconnected, and some of you have been
I'm
waiting.
here, Emily.
Oh, you are. I'm so
Yes,
glad you're here, Chrissy.
yes. I just had
Giving
trouble
you
with the
Chrissy a
link.
little love right here. I'm so glad you're here, Chrissy.
Hi. Sorry, I'm in my car. I'm in transit.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I'm glad you're here. So, Chrissy and I have been working together for the better part of almost a year now, trying to develop a new resource called the Regulated Classroom, the Early Years. And we met again last week, and I think that we're getting there, my friends. We are really getting there, and we're projecting an end date of being able to have this off to the graphic designer by the end of October. So, if all goes well, that will be the case. We'll be really pushing for that to happen. But this is a resource that we see being really valuable for early childhood folks and also parents. Chrissy, is there anything you want to add to that announcement?
Only that as someone who works in the early childhood field and who has brought, the regulated classroom to educators in that space, that I have heard the message and resonate with the message that some of the practices are not easily adaptable for children on the younger age spectrum. And so this will have practices that are simpler, have more music and simple rhythm. So some of the practices that require breaking into small groups and kind of organizing that are harder to do with 3 or 4 year olds will be replaced with ones that are accessible for that age group. And I'm just super excited to bring it to the world.
Yeah.
It's long overdue.
It's long overdue, and so we're excited about that. So I just wanted to make that announcement. The other thing too is if you are wondering, like, okay, how do I help other people learn a bit about the regulated classroom? One of the things that I've done in recent weeks is actually a series of different interviews. I think I've now completed 3 different podcast interviews. And I just finished a free conference session for a summit. You can look to our socials in the next couple weeks as those podcast interviews come available, and you can share them with, people you work with, or maybe a parent if you're an educator, or because actually 2 of the 4 um, engagements were really oriented to parents. And so I think educators, you'll be happy to be hearing what I'm saying to parents, meaning that my language is always that we, the educators, do well, just like students do well, with as many relational and environmental cues of safety that parents can share with us when we're looking to partner to support our children, their children, our students. So anyways, if this is something where you want to be able to share with parents about what the regulated classroom is about, these episodes would be, I think, worth sharing. So check out our socials for more details on that. And there'll also be links to it on our website as we update our news and stuff. All right, getting down to it, I just want to talk a little bit about, and I'd love to hear from you all about the default slide. As the honeymoon ends, right? It's a little bit like, what does this look like, my friends? For those of you who remember, you can mouth it, you can say it out loud, right? It's like, and that's literally a thing that if anybody's worked in schools for any period of time, the honeymoon fade is a real phenomenon. And um, it is oftentimes a default slide for us, right? I call it, what is the slide into our default mode? So I'd actually love for you to drop into the chat what that means. What happens in week 2, 3, 4 of school where we are now kind of back into it? What's going on? What's the default slide? I'm going to take a look at the chat right here. Back into old habits, Sue. Sue, you always give me like exactly that's the first thing I put on my next slide, which is right regression back into our old habits. Laura says the same thing. Don't have time for Shayna. Shayna, I love you, Shayna. Yeah. Don't have time for the new skills, don't have time for the new ideas. It takes too much, right? Reverting to old patterns of reactivity and unconscious actions. That's exactly right, Chrissy. So it's number one, falling back into old habits. But where does that come from? How does that happen? And here's something I want you to kind of hit the pause button for a second with me, like, okay? And think about the shift that happens from the first week or two of school. What's happening oftentimes in that time period? Like, what are we doing with our students, whether they're little kids or high schoolers? What are we reserving the first week or two of school for? See if anybody has a response to that. Yeah, Laurel, that's exactly right. We're reserving that time for relationship building. If you've been trained in responsive classroom, you know the first 6 weeks of school. It's like we model and we practice and we go through expectations. And then what happens is we get to that place where we start with the, yeah, right, Sue, this SEL curriculum, right? We start with that mantra of now it's time to get down to business, right? Time to get down to brass tacks. And that I'm going to offer to you today is one of the biggest reasons why we start to actually slide into default ways. Okay. So, one of the things that I think is always so hard, and I never know how to quite answer this question when people say, like, well, how do we implement the regulated classroom? Like, how do we go back to our schools and do this? And I'm like, you just do it. Like, you don't do it for a special occasion, you don't do it once a week. You start by recognizing that there are two essential educator capacities that I feel like I don't get enough time to talk about or spend time thinking about or even really emphasize enough in our trainings. But I'm gonna just skip on by this real quickly. See, when I show you the framework and I'm teaching you about the framework, whether you attended a training or you've come to a webinar, you know about this framework. And we focus often on the four core practices, right? Connectors, activators, settlers, affirmations. Those are all the quality of experiences that will help you get regulated. But there's two essential educator capacities that get less attention but are equally important, which is your ability to track your state and your ability to recruit the realm of social engagement. So, tracking body state, what are we doing with that? What does that even mean, right? We do this a lot. If you've attended training with me, we do this a lot through the language of what do you notice? What do you notice happening for you in this quality of experience, right? What do you notice happening? What's shifting for you? I feel like once we go into default mode, we actually move out of interoceptive sensing, which is the ability to sense what's going on the inside. And we move into this left brain sort of dorsal state of like, I'm not really present, but I'm doing my thing. I'm like, I'm following the lesson plan or I'm checking the box on the to-do list, but I'm not actually really present. And so the only way to even notice that that's happening for you is to be actually alive in your experience. And it's okay, like you're gonna come in and out of dorsal stage, you're gonna come in and out of being present and not being present, but you just need to be aware that that's something that's happening for you. So I'm going to have you do it right now because I can just about guarantee you that even though I can't see most of you, just about going to guarantee that most of you are pretty dorsal right now. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to ask you to stand with me. And if you can still turn your screen on so that we can see you, turn your video on. That would be fantastic. Thank you. Appreciate you. Okay. So just because we're going to just practice for a second, just tracking body state. So lift up your left leg. Sorry, can't really see this on my camera. I'm lifting up my left leg and bending my knee, lifting right, lifting left. If you could just do that with me. We're going to do this 10 times on each side. Up, down, up, down. Good. Love it. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, now I know you're going to think this sounds strange, but nobody can see you, really. So I want you to just kind of shake at your hips. It could also be called shaking your butt. Okay, just shake at your hips. Good. All right. Right now, I asked you to move so that you would have some sensation that was occurring within your body. You're stimulating senses when you move like that. And that helps you to become available to track what's going on in your body. So what may have shifted from sitting and listening to getting up and just engaging very briefly in a little bit of movement. Okay, that wasn't even per se an activator or anything, it was just a little bit of movement. What shifted? What did you notice? Right, Tyler? A little bit more alert, right? More blood flow, says Chrissy. Good, yeah. I noticed even a warmth and a tingling sensation in my body. Yeah, okay. So, what I kind of am hoping that you're also noticing is, oh, yeah, I'm not noticing that I'm not noticing. Literally, right? Like, I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Like, we get in such default mode that we don't even realize that we're no longer doing the things that we learned about, and because we have to kind of bring that back consciously. We have to be aware that we aren't noticing. So Danielle even said I became more aware and more present. So movement can almost always offer you that if you can have a little bit of metacognition in the moment to be like, okay, how am I feeling now that I'm up and moving? How am I feeling if I'm engaging in a connector or an activator with my students or even a settler? Okay. I'm going to go back and share the screen because that was one thing that I wanted to share with you is this is like a little brief opportunity for training that I'm offering you here, right? So the first thing is you want to be noticing and tracking your body state. The second thing is that I want you to be thinking about this other essential educator capacity that we rarely, like you're learning about it when you're in a 2-day training with me all day long, maybe in a 1 day a little bit too. But you've got these two ways in which you can recruit the realm of social engagement. What does that mean? That means there are two ways that you can share cues of safety. There are relational ways that you can share those, and there are environmental ways. And I'm actually going to get a chance to dig in a little bit more on the environmental piece today because it's so incredibly neglected. So with the relational cues of safety, when you're in default mode, one thing that you can always try that could potentially bring you back into more of a present mode and offer a cue of safety to somebody that you're with is to just slow your rate of speech. I'm doing it right now. Slow your rate of speech, soften your tone, which often comes from actually softening the jawline, um, and lowering your volume. Those three things are how you shift the prosody of your speech. And if I was wearing my little heart math sensor right now, you would see my body's coming into greater heart coherence as I do that. Okay. So, um, changing your tone of voice, changing that actually enables you to be able to change so much within your realm of social engagement. You're going to soften your facial expression. You may even adjust your physical proximity to another person or your physical gesturing. So it's a dynamic thing that's occurring between you and the other person, but it can begin with you actually just shifting the prosody of your own voice. This is the part, though, that in just a few minutes that we get together today, that I really want to dig in and nerd out on. I even have a little video that I'm going to show you that's almost kind of like I want you to be an environmental cue of safety detective looking for these things. So when it comes to school environments, by and large, we have designed them with two primary considerations in mind. First one is economics. So, what kind of money and resources do we have to fashion the environment? And number two is efficiencies. How many kids can we get in the space? How much technology can we pack in there? Like it's efficiency and economy have been the two primary drivers of design in educational spaces. And that, my friends, are not the two variables that actually help us to feel more regulated. These are the variables that help us feel more regulated. Textures, lighting that can be modulated from bright to dim, acoustics, meaning that we're actually mindful of how sound reverberates in the space. Tools for somatosensory input. How many of you are even thinking about the fact that if you've gotten a toolkit from the regulated classroom, you've got this amazing scarf that is a weighted product that is pretty much discreet. Nobody even knows you're wearing it. That's going to help give your body input to help you calm down, to help you be more present. Seating options, color palette, visual order, and smell and aroma. Okay, I just want you to see something here. And I'm not saying it's like perfect, and I'm not saying it like checks all these boxes, but I want to show you something. Here is an example of a space. How is this space different than traditional classroom spaces? What about this is different? I would love for you to go into the chat and see if you can offer a response there. What do you notice? Okay, Tyler, good. Right there, soft flooring, right? Huge. Blue color on the wall and in the carpet, Shayna. Yeah. So there's some coordination there, right? There's some monochromatic coordination there. Good. Anything else you notice? Look at the way that some people might be like, well, kind of feels really empty, right? Kind of feels like there's a lot of empty space. Neutral light, good, Tyler. Green couch seating options. That's the thing, is that we jam pack our classroom environments with all these desks and tables and chairs, so much so that we can't even move, really. I mean, it's really hard to move. Why? Who has said that sitting and being at a table is the best way to learn? Who has said that? Where I want to see the research on that because I don't see that. What I see instead is that people need lots of options in terms of ergonomic design in order to best, satisfy their sensory preferences. But more importantly, we know that movement turns on the brain, turns on the neocortex, gets that brain organizing, gets that nervous system more organized. So movement should be prioritized in classroom spaces and classroom design. You don't need money to make more space, meaning get rid of some of that furniture that you have in there if you can. If you can convince your principal, can I stuff this in a in the attic or in the cellar or wherever? Like, I know that can be hard too. Believe me, I've worked in schools long enough to know that people are very nuts about how it is when you move stuff around. And thank you, Laura, for noticing that there's no row of desks and chairs. Thank you for noticing that so much. Okay, another one for you. Here we go. Hold on one second. What do you notice about the arrangement of this situation here? What do you notice about the arrangement of this situation here? If you could chime in there for me. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Yes, exactly. It looks playful. It looks soft. There is an additional rug on top of the rug, so that's extra texture. Texture is one of the best ways to help manage acoustics in a room. And why this matters is because we know that loud, like a lot of auditory stimuli, is overwhelming for many nervous systems, mine included. And so when you can be creative about how to find textures to incorporate into classroom design, you're again designing for cue of safety and more ability for sensory processing and sensory integration. That's right, Danielle. That's right. It's the design of this is just kind of made for connection. So to think about having a space like this in the classroom, and you probably could seat 5 or 6 or 7 students working there. Some might even sit on the floor and use the ottomans to work on top of. Clipboards are what our students need. That's all they need I shouldn't say that's all they need, but you only need a couple of seated options, and then clipboards can be a really great tool to use to help our students write on a solid surface. All right, last but not least, this is like, I went into this school and I was like, can I take a video of you? And they were like, sure, okay. So hold on 1 second, 1 second. Let me go back to this. Let me share again because I have the video queued up on my computer. Okay, here we go. Now, with these things in mind, I want you to be thinking about your space in particular, whether you have an office or you have a classroom. I really want you to be taking in how you, as you see these spaces, how it lands for you. Because it's not too late to change things even now, to change things so that your space feels more like a place you want to be, right? And a place that students perhaps would want to be. And maybe you're somebody already oriented this way, but that doesn't mean you can't slightly enhance what you've already got going on. So here we go. I'm going to kind of, come on now. Why isn't that? Okay, here we go. I'm gonna actually kind of do this. I want you to just be looking for colors and noticing, yeah, what's on the walls, noticing the organization of even just materials. They were growing some things there. That's actually a chalkboard wall that kids can write on. That's a lunch cart that they have. It's actually how they do their free and reduced um, lunches. That's how they actually share that in their particular setting. They have laundry, which I know not all schools have, but would be nice if they did. Again, be noticing the walls. I love this space here. Look at that space. And again, be noticing that there's also a lot of space for just like open community space, right? That's why I so much was like, can I please take a video of this? Because I wanted people to see the natural light. You know, of course, in their playground situation, they had a lot of like natural materials too. Sorry if this is making you sick. We're almost done with it. Loved that. And this was a school that was pre-K through grade 8. Mhm. So, okay, I'm going to stop sharing there. I hope you guys were able to see. I'd love to, let me just stop sharing because I'd love to see if anybody's interested in unmuting themselves and sharing what they saw there as something that was, I don't know, inspirational or inspired some curiosity or lots of textures available. Yeah. A lot of calming colors with pops of sunshine, right, Carrie? Anything else anybody noticed about that
I
space?
noticed some like stacking chairs that had like the little handles on the side,
Yeah,
which that's so great because if you're in a space where you need to use it in multiple ways, but sometimes when chairs, we all know the chairs that get stuck together and never come apart again. So the
100%.
fact that it had those little handles, I was like, yes.
Yeah. But one of the things I was hoping you would notice too is just like how much there is open space intentionally designed into their school, because they recognize that there needs to be that for everyone in the environment, that overcrowding it with too much furniture and desks and chairs mainly, that's not optimal for for engaging in core practices, engaging in movement, engaging in community together. Yeah, Sue, I love what you're saying here. Sue, do you want to talk about that? She says the word that kept coming to mind was inviting. Do you want to talk
I
about
just kept,
that?
yeah, I just kept thinking that all the spaces looked really comfortable. Like no matter what you were looking for from like a sensory perspective, you could find that in really any of those spaces.
Exactly, exactly. And that's just when Dr. Porges talks about environmental cues of safety, that's what he's referencing essentially, and that's what people from, Sweden and Finland and Norway do so well. They design for that coziness, right? They design for invitation. Danielle says it felt more cozy and comfortable like at home than a harsh school environment. And I got to be honest with you, like in the 4 different schools I worked at through my years as a school counselor, all 4 of them were designed and looked a lot, with the exception of one that was a little different. All of them were very cold feeling. And COVID made that worse in many ways because we went back through and got rid of all textures because they couldn't be wiped down. And so we have to remember too that we're kind of still trying to recover from that time of just where sanitizing material was the primary concern in the classroom environment. So these two things, these two essential educator capacities, tracking your body state and recruiting the realm of social engagement through relational and environmental cues of safety, are ways in which you can help yourself to get unstuck from your default mode. Because that is very natural and very normal at this time of year. And I think it is because we move away from doing things that are fun and think that it's time to get serious now, time to get busy, but also that that default mode is just a really powerful way in which a human functions without having to be very conscious and very present and very aware. The time is 3:46, and I appreciate so much you being here. Let's wave goodbye to each other, and I will look forward to seeing you all next month. Don't forget, we have a community of practice too, so if you are interested in joining that, you can reach out to Emma. Generally, we're trying to hold community of practice space for people that have been trained in the regulated classroom, but we haven't been uber exclusive yet. Oftentimes, if people haven't had any training at all, it's harder for them to understand exactly what it is we're talking about, but we still want to be an inclusive environment for people. And I love all the work that you are out there doing in the world. Thank you so much. And I will be here and I will stay here till for a few more minutes in case people have questions or things they want to chit chat about. But in the meantime, have a great rest of your week.
Thanks. Bye.
What
Thanks.
did you
See
say
ya.
that Emma offers? I'm sorry. What did you say that Emma offered for the regulated classroom?
Oh, so we have a community of practice that Emma usually does like when people request, you kind of have to have like a link to join it. I can give that to you, but Emma will review. So it's not something where you can just join. You have to like answer a couple questions, whatever. So, and I think one of the questions might be like, have you been trained in the regulated classroom?
Right.
Are you in the community of practice right now, Carrie?
I don't know. I'm like on the board. Is that what you're talking about? Like the website?
No, this is actually a separate, it's something we just launched about 6 weeks ago. This is
And I'm going to say no.
okay. So it's a platform. It's kind of really cool, to be honest with you. It's a sort of like a combination between like a Blackboard, so like a course platform coupled with a social media platform so that people can collaborate, share. I share a ton of
Okay.
resources in there.
I am on that. I think I know what you're talking about now. And you have like the
Yeah.
webinars down at the bottom. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the community of practice that we just opened and that we're actively trying to build up.
Okay.
But have you been trained with me yet?
Yes. I trained with you in Lawrence, Kansas.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. How's it going? Are you working for the service agency there or are you in a school?
I'm in a school.
Okay, how's it going?
Last year I had to work on two different campuses and I get to be on just one campus this year. And the girl that was with me at the training, she gets to do the other campus full time. So
Okay.
it's
Okay. Wait,
exciting.
was that wasn't who was with you?
Her name was Sam Shahan.
Okay. I mean, I'd have to see her face in order to try to remember that. How have things been going? Are you a social worker there?
I'm doing the counseling position. So, yep, it's new.
So Carrie, talk to me. How is that going?
Honestly, like there's a lot of things that are really great, but I was laughing because you said everybody's like, "Oh, we have to get busy. We have to do this." And like I've been trying to get into classrooms to try to show them the regulated classroom, try to give them those pieces to add on. We're having a lot of behaviors in the very young grades like kindergarten. Well, we go from and we have kids that haven't had preschool, so they have no exposure and it's just a lot for them. And so I've been really wanting to get in there. Our preschool teacher agreed to it, so I'm going to try to go in there tomorrow, and I have a couple of things we're going to do.
Good. That's
So
awesome. Do you
I
think
thought
that
we'll
you'll,
start there.
yeah, do you think that you'll try and do a training with them or like even a little microdose training at all?
Um, that the principal at the other school had asked Sam and I to do maybe like a little 1 hour training, but I don't know at this point because when school starts, how everything gets
Oh,
bogged
I
down
know.
and
Yeah,
put
I
to the
wouldn't.
back burner.
If I were you, I wouldn't even try and do that. That feels a bit overwhelming. Like I would even just start with like a 15-minute, like, let's talk about regulation versus dysregulation and what it might look like in your classroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like just something super
for
basic
sure.
like that, because I sort of feel like when we are able to use language that helps our educators say, yeah, that's actually what I'm experiencing. When we're able to kind of name it like that for them, I feel as
Right.
though we gain a lot of credibility with what it is we're trying to share. So,
Well, and that's what I tried to talk to one of the teachers about. I'm like, if we can add these activities before your kiddo gets dysregulated, then
exactly.
that's going to help them stay regulated. They're going to stay on task. They're going to, you're going to see a lot more out of them than if you try to push through.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so I'm
Exactly. Or
hoping
come up
being
with
able
an
to go,
extensive behavior plan with all these rewards and this and that and
yes,
all the
yes,
things.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And
I love that you're here and I appreciate you coming back to like be like, okay, because are you new in the role of school counseling?
I took the position probably in February of last year,
Okay, so
and I
you're,
was a
yeah.
classroom teacher. So yes, very new.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, yeah, yeah. This is so
Yeah,
great. This is so great.
yeah,
Well, this is the perfect place to be and to be trying to figure out what's next, you know?
yeah.
And have you used any of the practices at all in the work you do with students, like in your one-to-ones
I've used like
or
just like if they're upset about something, like doing like the, oh, let's just shake and play and dance, like doing some of that kind of stuff just to and it's funny because I had this one little guy and he was like, I'm just mad, I'm angry about everything all the time. And I'm like, well, we're gonna do this. Just dance with me, and whatever. And it was funny because like it didn't take long before there was a huge smile on his face.
yeah,
And
there's a huge
yeah,
shift in his nervous system state.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
and even doing that with your students, like I wish I had understood all this stuff when I was a school counselor because I did a lot of it intuitively, but didn't know why. But had I
right.
understood that like arousing and settling them and that being the focus of a lot of our sessions, I would have helped them to get so much further in their growth. And so like I don't know if that's something that's helpful for you to think about, but like if you have regular meetings with certain students, doing an activator and then doing a settler together in the course of that meeting, like maybe
Hmm.
starting with the activator and ending with the settler, is actually helping to exercise their nervous system and their arousal on purpose and their settling on purpose, and that's actually going to enhance their regulation too. So we're
Okay.
helping or using that too to help them like reflect on, oh, what's going on in your body right now? And how do you feel now that we just did that? Did that feel good? And did that make you feel more calm? And did that make you feel more at ease? And did you have fun? Like those questions.
That'd be great because like when I try to talk to the kids, like a lot of the ones come in here because they're angry and I'm like, well, how do you know you're angry? Well, I yell. Okay, well, but what does your body feel like? And it's really hard to get them to tap into what their body feels like when they're
Mhm.
angry. So it's if we can't tap into that, I can't lead them to, skills to help them regulate that. So doing those, I hadn't thought about doing them in small sessions. So
Yeah, I would totally be doing those a lot in small sessions and also just, like I think for kids, especially young, what age groups are you working with?
elementary
Yeah.
K5.
Yeah. So I mean, they're kind of limited in what their meaning making process can be much anyways, you know what I mean? Whereas you can really talk to the high school kids about things, but the younger kids, it's more limited in its help or, its value.
Yeah.
And of course it's helpful for kids to feel heard and feel seen, but when they're feeling angry, maybe the orientation is, well, let's try this. I wonder how this might change how you're feeling right now. You know what I mean? And not
Yeah.
in like a toxic way, not like I don't want you to be angry or you can't be angry with me, but just more, let's see how this maybe makes you feel in your body. And does this shift
Right.
things type of thing?
That
Yeah.
would, yeah. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Keep in touch. I want to hear how it keeps going. So keep either
Yep.
share in the community of practice or come and continue to join in on the webinars.
Well, I've been
I
checking the
miss
community of practice here and there, so I'm trying to.
Good. Well, good for you. Thank you. April?
Missed a few minutes because my connection got lost, but one thing with that K5 age group and even the early care, which I'm so curious about your early care development and wish I could be in every room with you on that, is the having the children listen for their heartbeat.
Mm,
Um, can really like, and is your heart beating fast or slow? Does it feel
mhm,
heavy or light? Like, it's
mm,
amazing with even the preschoolers how like a child who's deeply dysregulated, when you say, what does your heartbeat feel like right
yeah.
now? How it can really like tune them in,
That's an
and like
intervention. That's a
drop them
really brilliant
down. Yeah.
intervention. Mm.
Yeah.
No, it is because as they're listening for their heart rate, they're slowing their heart rate. So that's actually really brilliant in so many ways. Yeah. Jennifer, did you have anything, or Jesus or Amanda, anything anybody else wanted to ask or comment they wanted to make?
I first of all, Emily, wanted to say thank you. And for anyone watching, I kept coming in and out. I had major tech issues, so I didn't want people to
Oh,
think I was being rude.
oh,
I was
no, no,
trying and
no.
trying. I'm in Falmouth. You were recently with us, Emily, in Falmouth.
Yep.
So I have been trying. I have a lot of uphill growing. I feel like the relationship part is strong for me,
Yeah.
but I'm still working on some of the other tools. So
Yeah.
yes.
What have you been trying, Jennifer?
Thank
Anything in particular?
you. Because my style is more the singing or dancing,
I love
I
that.
have been doing a lot of
Aren't you the
clapping
music
and a lot of
teacher?
rhythm.
Yeah.
No, but I love music.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just
Okay.
ordered, they just came in, rhythm sticks, so they just came. I was able to get those, but we've been doing a lot of clapping and things. And it's interesting because I teach fourth grade, and the kids have been bringing in songs that they like, that they think have good rhythms. So we have a song list that they're all adding to. And I say I always have to listen to the lyrics ahead of time, but they're bringing in things. Some of them are asking to stay in the first minute of recess so they can show me what they think the rhythm is. So
So
that's been exciting.
oh God,
Go ahead.
are you in the community of practice?
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
This is the kind of thing that
Yes.
I know everybody's got a thousand things, but this is the kind of thing that I would love for you to share. Please, 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 if you have a second, just because
Okay.
this is what I'm talking about. Like when you have the students coming in and saying, I want to share this song, or I want to show you this pattern, or can I try this myself and do it with the class? You are talking
Mm.
about they are experiencing such empowerment and agency, and they're also um, it's communicating to you how powerful that quality of experience is for them, how it's joyful, how it's
Mm.
connecting. It's like they're loving it, and that's what, and you can know that through that kind of like engagement, which is just
Sure.
like makes me so happy, like so happy for you guys and so happy
Oh,
for them, you know?
well, and what's been interesting is they seem to get frustrated if we veer to too many different songs. Like some of them, we have, community circle or team meetings. And when we go around and I ask how things are going, their feedback has been, can we stick with one song for a few days?
Oh, I love
Because
that.
we like learning the song. That was fascinating that
Yeah.
and they voted on it. And we were doing Van Halen's Jump. And then they asked if within the rhythm, could they jump instead of clapping or whatnot.
Yes, I
So
hope you
we
said
built
yes. I hope you.
jumping. Oh yes. Oh,
Oh
we
yeah.
were jumping high. I don't think the grade below me was too pleased, but
I know, I
they
know.
wanted to repeat that.
Yeah,
So I've been honoring that, but then say it's time for us to try a different piece of music because someone else may have something that they enjoy too.
yeah.
But that's where I would admit to everyone the relationship piece. I'm strong, I'm silly, but I'm doing all the songs and the rhythms. I'm not doing a lot of the other things. So I need to figure out how to build that in better. And I know you said, think about your lesson plans. So I left and I've been thinking, but even if you put it in your lesson plans, it has to be truly when they need it. So it can't be, I'm going to teach 20 minutes and then definitely have one because I have some times where they've needed something before the 20 minutes.
Yeah. No,
So
100%,
that's
Jennifer. That's how I train. So like I have like all the things I'm going to do with you guys, but then I'm going to actually dose it in when I feel like it's needed. But I will say this, the kids will habituate to if you could have a structure where they knew connectors, activators, settlers, and affirmations were coming, if it was a structure like that, or just even activators and settlers, they'll habituate to that. Their body will crave that. They'll want that. It'll be a good experience for them. And then you can dose in as you need it too. But I just love that you're trying something different or more or knowing or maybe feeling even more like a sense of permission to use what you do and do well.
Yes.
And that you are recognizing I still need to do the other things. Probably the other thing you need to do is the down regulation. I'm sure that's probably a little harder. Right,
Yeah.
the settlers and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So lead
Okay.
through and figure out what you
So
might
thank
be
you,
able to
but I
do for
didn't
that.
want didn't want you to think I was rude. So thank
Not
you,
at
everyone.
all. Not at all. Nope. So thank you so much for sharing. All right, y'all, it's 4 o'clock. I actually have to run and bring my husband to the car dealership. But again, thank you. And if there's anything else I can help you with, just email me and let me know. See y'all next month.
Thank you,
Thank
Emily.
you. Take good care. Bye-bye.